Welcome to What's the Word? I'm your host, Jaime McFaden, and I'm so excited to have you here. This podcast is about all things wellness. Each week, we will focus on a word of the day, and I interview some of the most inspirational people I know and share that inspiration with you. Join me, let's learn together on What's the Word. This is the place where I belong. Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to What's the Word? I am your host, Jaime McFaden, and today I am very excited about this episode. We have someone who is a special guest of mine that we had just started working together on some projects, and I can't wait to feature him and all that he does. Fabian Melendez, who is owner of Melendez Boxing. He is a coach. He is also a group and personal trainer. He chose the word today, perseverance, which by definition means persistence in doing something despite the difficulty or delay in achieving success. I think that is something we can all use a little bit more of. So Fabian, can you please tell us how you're doing today? And
Thank you. I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Thank you for having me on, Jamie, and appreciate it. Perseverance. It's been something that's it's been a word that's been stuck with me since I was a kid. Started with the Taekwondo. We used to have a little kind of mantra we would do before and after class. But at the end of the class, the mantra would go, "Sir or ma'am, depending on the instructor, I shall live with perseverance in the spirit of Taekwondo, having honor with others, integrity within myself, and self-control of my actions." And we finish it with a strong sir or ma'am. And just that word, I remember, having to memorize this. I'd go home, those first few practices and just sit there and memorize it, not knowing what this meant, not knowing what that training would do for me in sports and life. And then, so perseverance has definitely just been a part of what I do. I don't know. I think there's no other way to get our goals in fitness and in life without, perseverance. It's like we've all survived our toughest and strongest and saddest days of our lives, and it takes perseverance to work through that. So, I don't know if people know that about themselves, but if you're still here today and you're alive, you persevered through some tough times.
100%. And I love that. And I'm going to ask you a little bit later to repeat that so that people can actually maybe take that away with them. I think that what you just stated and how you had to go home and memorize this without even knowing exactly what you were doing, you were setting yourself up with this deep rooted intention. And I think that is something that we could all use a little bit more of, right? These kind of mantras. So let's get into your story a little bit. You and I met, just so that everyone listening or watching this knows, you and I met pretty recently at an event that we were both working at, and literally immediately, my daughter gravitated to you, and she was the only child at this event. And she gravitated to you, and you took the time, the energy, and really there's the love to sit with her and give her some basic boxing skills. Now, mind you, my daughter's 5 years old. She's never boxed or anything like that in her life. And she felt it gave her this intrinsic belief in herself that now she all of a sudden wants to do this. You've inspired her so much that's also why I reached out going, okay, I need to get you on the podcast. We need to be promoting what you're doing because it's really beautiful. So I'd love to hear a little bit about your story, your journey, what led you to be who you are today.
Man, there's so many different versions of the story, but I'll give you a quick one. The sports has just always been a big part of my life. We get into sports for many different reasons. My parents always wanted me to be healthy and strong, but also to keep me out of trouble. So I started with naturally playing soccer, my first sport. Then it turned into baseball, basketball, Taekwondo. I even wanted to, Mighty Ducks was out at that time. I dated myself. Mighty Ducks was out at that time, and I was a kid then. I wanted to play ice hockey, but that wasn't necessarily, I guess we couldn't afford that sport, come to find out now. But I did have my own pair of ice skates, and I was out there trying that. High school football came, and I wanted to play high school football, and had to convince my parents, hey, the coach really wanted me, knowing, damn well I didn't know that much about football. I did play some flag football, but that contact football was a whole different sport. That taught me a lot about myself and about team and about winning, and saw a lot of success at my high school, Christian Brothers High School. Shout out Christian Brothers High School in Sacramento. And so with all those sports and all that training, when I was about 19 years old, a couple years out of high school, I was going to school for firefighting and going to school for my EMT. And I was out of shape, overweight, and I wanted to get in shape. And I saw my friend just randomly at the store, and he says, I want to box with you. I want to go train with you. And so sure enough, he picked me up. We went to the boxing gym, and I had no intention of fighting, no intention of getting in that ring and sparring. But my 4th week in training, they put me in there to spar with somebody. Now I learned how the sport works. Somebody was way more advanced. I was just his human punching bag, and it was a gritty gym that a lot of champions came out of in Sacramento. But after that sparring session, I left with a big old lump on my eye, and I felt a little discouraged. I felt a little played, but also, that competitor came out of me. It woke something up, in me. That pain, that just that feeling of, man, like, I don't like losing. So sure enough, I just got back dove into the training, and that intention of wanting to make myself better, wanted to find a sport, boxing that would help me get me there fast, but I had no intention of getting hit. And that sparring session led into an amateur fight, which led into, sparring with amateurs, pros, and so many different boxers. And I would compete. I would compete, and and then I don't know, to wrap up this part of the story. It's just like I ended up turning pro in 2014 when I had no intention of even boxing back in 2002, for competition. So perseverance, that indomitable spirit, it's just something that I guess it's been it's been part of me as a kid, so.
Absolutely. Well, and obviously, there's so much more to your story, and I want for everyone that's listening today, and we're going to be sharing your website, your Instagram, so people can really just start to follow along with your journey and get to know you more. And, the word perseverance, definitely when I think about it, and you brought it up, it's like, we're going to go through some hard stuff in our life. That's inevitable for all of us. And I definitely can tell you that a lot of people who listen to this podcast are listening to it to get inspiration and motivation internally, externally, and are going through some tough times, right? Inevitably, we're all going to be maybe at this moment going through some tough times. So can you maybe talk about a moment in your life where things were tough, right? Whether it's like you had mentioned that you were overweight, I would have never known that, right? You're like one of the fittest people I've met. So I'm like, oh, wow, that is interesting. So it doesn't have to be that, but some moment in your life where you really had to dig deep to persevere, where it didn't come natural to you, where it was like you had to really fight for it.
Man, there's lots of those. The one that really comes out that sticks out in my mind is my first time competing in a national, type of tournament for Taekwondo when I was 11 years old. It was 93 in Las Vegas. And it was my first match of sparring, with another competitor. I went to go do a jump kick, and my leg got, kicked at the same time I was in the air. I landed on that hardwood floor, and I had my Daniel LaRusso Karate Kid moment at that time. I was crying and wiping my tears away, and hobbling over to my mom, and she says, she looks me in my eyes. She says, "Mijo," she says, you don't have to keep on going if you don't want to, but if you want to, go for it." And I wiped down the tears away, and I unleashed a little flurry out there, and ended up winning that match, the following match, and then I got to the championship, and it was that was like a big moment of turning the page. Another example would be in, let's say, 2005, my first time competing in the Golden Gloves tournament in San Francisco, amateur boxing tournament. It's a 4-day tournament. If you're matched up, all 4 days and you win, you got to fight 4 days. So I had to fight 3 out of the 4 days. The first night I knocked out my opponent in the first round, which was a big size person. It was super heavyweight division. So it's 201 pounds and no limit. And at that time I was about 240 pounds. And this is after losing, a bunch of weight. But the next night I had to fight this 6'2", 313 pounder. And it was the first fight that my mom saw me, you know, compete in boxing, and my grandpa was there and at the Cow Palace. And man, I was just so nervous because I thought I was going to fight somebody else. So there it was, you know, nervous walking into the ring, but, you know, walking into the ring, you could hear the crowd, you know, saying negative things. Oh man, he's fighting that big guy. And I had to make up my mind before I stepped into those ropes. Like, it's either sink or swim right now, you know, fight or flight. Which one are you going to do? I just made up my mind right there. As I stepped in, I was like, okay, it's on. Ended up winning that fight too. And then I made it to the championship, and I lost to a guy I lost to twice before. But the point was that, man, what a challenge, you know, to fight somebody way bigger, scarier looking than you and still come out victorious, you know. So man, I have all kinds of these stories.
I love it. And I'm sure that everyone listening right now is like, ooh, this is so like, it is so inspirational, because what you're describing right now is, first of all, you know, you are someone that many people look up to. You are someone that you are a leader. You are doing the hard work every single day. You are putting it out there. You are doing everything you can to help others and inspire others to build out their own opportunities in their world. And, you know, for that, I just want to take a moment to thank you and acknowledge you, because you're, you know, that's the reason I reached out to you and was like, I need you on the podcast, because we need more humans in the world recognizing that they can persevere, that even doing the scary things at that moment when you're like, I don't know, am I good enough? Am I this? Like we usually get in our own way. And you had just brought up something so beautiful, where in the very young stages of your life. So now we're going to talk about kids for a moment, because you inspired my kid in a way that I hadn't seen her, you know, and she lives with me, right? So we're always like, all right, time to take deep breaths and all this.
Yeah.
But you inspired her in a sense that, you know, that she had never felt before. And it left this really beautiful desire and kind of taste in her mouth that now she wants more. And at the same time, it's something that scares her, right? Whether it's boxing or something else. And so I think as a child, you brought up that you had to learn to say something to address who you were working with when you were doing Taekwondo. And that was so much more than just the words you were saying, right? You were embedding something in your mind that would be with you forever. And so when we think about the future, we think about our kids, we think about what you and I are doing in this world, and what we're, you know, coming and showing up every day for is a greater purpose. And so when we talk about kids, and I do have some younger ones that listen to this podcast, what would you say to someone that right now is kind of feeling either defeated, or maybe like they aren't worthy or good enough to do the hard things, right? Like I know I've felt that sometimes. Maybe you in your life have ever felt like question, like, can I do this? What would you give someone, like to your younger self, to a child, to the kids that you work with, to the kids you're around, a bit of advice on perseverance?
Embrace the pain, embrace those bad times, embrace it all. You know, I like hearing the Latin phrase, amor fati, amor fati, love of one's fate. You know, whether something good happens to you or something bad happens to you, that's the way it's supposed to be. You know, because in those lessons, in that pain, that's where we're learning. That's what we're here for. You know, pain is love, and love is pain. You know, like. And if you're able to like run towards that pain and not run from it, you're tackling that problem head on, as opposed to running away. And then as you run away, more problems are going to accumulate, and that's just more work that you're going to have to do, as opposed to just, you know what, let me just handle this problem straight on. You know, it's either them or me, but I have more confidence in myself that I'm going to overcome it. You know, I might not know how, but I'm definitely going to run towards it, you know? So, you know, you have to help yourself out first, you know, before other people are going to help you out. You know, you have to do it. You know, the power is in what is in us. You just got to bring it out, you know? So, you know, don't be afraid of pain. Don't be afraid of losing. Don't be afraid of doing things wrong, you know, because I mean, that's where the work is at. You know, that's how you're going to get better. That's how you're going to get stronger mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally. Like, that's where you're going to solidify like who you are. That's where you're going to put that stamp on. No, this is me, and this is me. This is who I want to be. This is where I'm going, and not, this is how I was raised. This is how I grew up. Like, because we all have a story. We all have a sad story. I mean, and not to say nobody cares, but at the end of the day, you're going to have to pick yourself up and get the job done regardless. So you might as well run straight towards that pain and figure it out.
Yes. I knew I wanted to have you on here. And like everything you're saying is just so, just on point with what I've been feeling, and what I think so many people need to be continuously reminded of from different ways is that we got to take responsibility for our life, ourselves, and whatever happened to us in our past, whatever happens in the future. That's part of this journey that we're on. We all get this human experience. And so to persevere, no matter what good, bad, and different is going on around us, is just such a beautiful thing that we need to keep reminding ourselves of. Now, I'd love to hear from you. What are you most excited about right now in your life, in what you're doing? What are you looking forward to?
Man, the unknown, the unknown, the scary, boxing has prepared me right now for the next step of life that I want to get through. I mean, a lot of things in life, but I want my own gym, I want my own facility. I want to be able to reach more people. I want to not create many needs, but I want to be able to show other trainers, hey, you're capable of more, you could do more. I want to help other trainers get more business going. But at first, right now, I have to get my own space going for that. And that's scary. That's another big responsibility, But also at the same time, I have to think like, well, like you said, you survived all your toughest times. You've learned so much. So it's either like, well, we're going to figure this out, like I don't plan on failing, and if I do, at least I'm failing forward, and it's going to lead me to the next step, the next thing. But if I sit here scared with my tail tucked between my legs, nothing's going to happen. You know what I mean? And I'm going to stay in that comfort zone. In boxing, we say you got to be, and with anything, but especially in boxing, it's like you have to be comfortable being uncomfortable in there. You have to stay cool, calm, and collected. Whether you got one eye or one broken hand, or whatever it is, you still have to think like, I'm good. I'm good to go. So that's where growth happens, is in those challenges. So be comfortable being uncomfortable,
Yeah. And now, have you always been, I feel like you are just Mr. Inspiration, Mr. Health, Wellness, all that. Have you always been super healthy?
I haven't always been super healthy. No, definitely not. I've always been into sports, but my biggest, I was up to 300 pounds. I went to the big and tall to go put on a size 48 pants before, wearing two, 2X, 3X t-shirts, being real insecure, not having the best clothes, whatever it is. Like I've experienced that. I've experienced being broke. I've experienced being like, at the bottom, if you will, you know what I mean? But it's, remembering all those things, it's what still fuels the fire, it's just like, wow, well, you've been there and you've enjoyed life at that level, with that mentality. Man, sorry. Yeah, no, it's just like, I don't know. I've overcome a lot. And it's just great to be here in this position right now. But there's still a lot more to do.
Absolutely. And I thank you, for vulnerability and transparency with that, because I think a lot of people who listen to the podcast, a lot of people who come to me, they just can assume when they see someone like you or I, like, oh, well, they've probably always, had it easier. It's always been, just their thing. And so I really also want to make sure that we, in our own leadership are letting people know, hey, we've failed. We've, made mistakes. Maybe, for me, I have had a whole bunch of things that have happened that didn't go the way I envisioned. And never once did I let that, keep me down for long enough. It was like, no, we got to keep going. So I just want to acknowledge the fact that to anyone listening, that maybe they're not where they want to be, maybe they're not how they want to be right now, but you are a perfect example of, you maybe weren't, this super strong, or maybe really strong, but maybe you weren't healthy in other ways or whatnot. And you were able to make that change. And that really inspires others to think, okay, so can I. And I think that's really important in what we do.
Yeah, no, I've definitely had my fair share with, substances and hanging out with the wrong people and the places and doing the wrong things, but I thank God that I'm alive. Thank God that I was able to see the bigger picture and see how my parents really raised me, how my family really raised me, how my coaches in the community have helped, help bring me up, So it's definitely, I wasn't, I guess I was always this person, but I got lost in that, and I got lost in that, I got lost in being something that I wasn't, but I had to get lost to figure and find myself out. I had to persevere. I had to literally fight my way out of it. But the whole time I wasn't fighting anybody. It was in here. It was fixing my heart and my head and kind of connecting those two together to really see what it is that I wanted to be. So
Absolutely.
Boxing just kind of brought it all out of me.
And now, are you still currently fighting? Do you still have matches? Are you?
No. Every fighter still wants to. I don't care how old they get, but every fighter still believes that they could fight. Mentally. But physically, to compete anymore, I don't compete anymore in boxing. But in my heart, of course, I still want to get in there. But you start moving around physically, like, ooh, you feel a little aches and pains, So, no, the last time I fought was in 2014, and that was in San Francisco, professional fight. Won that fight, and I was going to fight a year later, and been training, for months, but then, boxing business, it's a bad business, crazy business, and a crazy sport to get into. They canceled the show 2 weeks before, so mind you, you're prepping for months, sacrificing all this. And I was like, all right, that's it. That's it. I'm not a young buck anymore to be sitting here waiting around for somebody else to pay me. I already got the monkey off my back, a long time ago. So I fulfilled, what I wanted to do in boxing. I did more than what I came in expecting to do. So, there's life after boxing, because some people stay in it too long and bad things happen, So you gotta get out while you're ahead.
Yeah, I love that. And I would love to know from you. I think for many of us, we have kind of a key person, a key people who have kept us inspired or motivated. Do you have someone that comes to mind in your life that's kind of been your key inspiration, or your, and it could be present or holistically, whatever it is?
Man, there's so many people, but I got to give all credit to my dad. My dad has been the example. He's been the leader. He's been that strong person, but he's also things that I didn't understand when I was younger. But now being almost I'm almost 40, I understand a lot, and I appreciate all the sacrifices that he did to lead me to get me here, but I had to do the work, but he definitely provided the example. So, I was very grateful to be able to have a father to lead by example, and to see him work 6-7 days a week to put all of us, myself and my 3 sisters, through private school, kindergarten, through high school, to give us the best education that he never had. Yeah. And wow. Wow.
That's
dad,
beautiful.
My dad's the man.
Yeah. Yes, he is. And that's why I always like to give a shout out, because I think in this podcast, we need to remind ourselves too, whoever's listening, that it's not just a solo mission. And we're really fortunate to have the people in our world that come to us, whether as a parent, as a friend, as a mentor, and for us to go out into the world and kind of pay that forward, because having that inspiration, like you just said, from your dad, is something that you're going to keep with you for the rest of your life. And acknowledging that and giving them, please tell your dad thank you from me too, because he's obviously helped really you to be someone that now it's the trickle down effect. You've inspired me, you've inspired my child. You're coming and working with the event with me that I'm, putting on soon. So it's just amazing how this synergy works. So before we wrap this one up, is there anything that you want to share with the audience about you, about perseverance, about life? This is your moment.
Yeah, it's not over, you know, like don't be afraid to face your fears, you know, like go get that job, ask that person out, take that risk, you know, but don't sit there with your hands in your pocket because nobody's going to come and help you. You got to go out and help yourself. You know, my greatest joy and very rewarding, and I'm sure you probably feel the same thing about training people. I love seeing people smile. I love seeing people get stronger. I love seeing people overcome their fears, but it's not going to be easy. It's challenging but doable, and people can do it. They could change, but they just have to be able to kind of be okay being on a solo mission, whether they're friends, families, teachers, whoever it is. Don't let them get in their way of what it is that you really want. You know, like if you sit there quietly with yourself and your thoughts and just truly quietly, not on your phone, you can sit there and you can answer a lot of your own questions that you might doubt yourself on, or whatever it is. You could listen to yourself, listen to what it is that you truly want, and you'll figure it out. You know, don't seek for approval of others, because that's their life. They're speaking from their experiences. They are not you. So focus on you, do what you love, create a vision board, you know, surround yourself with the people that you want to be, that you want to be like, and learn from, you know, good and bad, you know, learn from it all, but put it together and create something for yourself.
Woo! Amen to all of that. I was like, yes. So Fabian, can you let our audience know the best way to find?
Best way to find me would be on Instagram, Melendez Boxing. It's Melendez Boxing on Instagram. You can find me on my website, melendezboxing.com. Facebook, Fabian Melendez. I'm available.
We're going to share all these links. And everyone just, you know, go follow, give him a follow, give him some love. Be sure to, you know, spread what he's saying to yourself and to others, because the act of perseverance. And I'm going to ask you one more time to share with us that quote that you said in the very beginning, so we can full circle this, baby. That the quote that you said that you had to memorize. What is that?
Sure. So it was at the end of a Taekwondo event or class. Everybody would recite this together. It was pretty powerful. So we'd stand at attention, you know, hands on our side, either address the instructor by sir or ma'am, and we say, I shall live with perseverance in the spirit of Taekwondo, having honor with others, integrity within myself, and self-control in my actions, sir, or for you, ma'am. So that's been something that's been stuck with me since I was 11.
Yeah. And that's just, it's beautiful. So thank you for sharing that. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for coming on to What's the Word. I can't wait to see you in a couple weeks, literally at this event and the launch party. So everyone be sure to be on the lookout for some of the cool things that we're going to be teaming up on together. But for right now, have a beautiful day. Fabian, thank you so very much. And thank you to everyone for being on What's the Word. And we will see you next time. Be sure to like, subscribe, share with your friends, all the things. We love it, and we need your love. So keep it going. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining me here at What's the Word. Follow us on social media with the links on the screen, and don't forget to like and share with your friend. Your support helps us grow and continue to make inspirational content. See you next time on What's the Word.